Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I'm Darshan Usman. The top stories this hour. Southern Middle Belt leaders urges President Tinubu NAS to address security crisis immediately. National Security Advisor, 36 states launch joint action to tackle food inflation. Prominent Rwandan opposition leader Ingabire arrested over alleged coup plot. Details of these stories and more coming up shortly. We begin with security stories where the Middle and Southern Belt Leaders Forum has raised alarm over the worsening state of insecurity in parts of the country, urging President Bola Tinubu to take more decisive action. The group warned that Nigeria risks descending into a banana republic if urgent steps are not taken to protect lives and property across the nation. In a communiqué jointly signed by key regional leaders, Oba Oladipo Olaitan of Afenifere, Dr. Beatrice Pogu of Middle Belt Forum, Senator John Azuta-Mbata representing Ohanaeze Ndibo, and Ambassador Godknows Igali of PANDEF, the leaders criticized that what they called the federal government's failure to provide adequate security for its citizens. The statement, released Thursday in Akure, the Ondo State capital, expressed deep concern over continued attacks, particularly in Benue State, where suspected herdsmen have been accused of killing scores of residents. The forum called on both the President and the National Assembly to treat the issue of national security with the utmost urgency to prevent Nigeria from sliding further into instability. In the meantime, the Middle Belt Youth Forum and the Niger-Delta Youth Forum have jointly called on the federal government to end both the killings in regions and bring perpetrators of the nefarious act into book. At a press conference tagged Enough is Enough held in Jos, the Plateau State capital, the conveners condemned what they described as deliberate genocide and marginalization of their people. News Central's Chizoba Nyongwe called for restructuring of the security architecture in the country.
We demand 1, immediate return of stolen lands to the rightful owners. 2, prosecution of Fulani warlords and their sponsors. 3, reversal of illegal renaming of villages and towns that were brutally taken from our people by state-sponsored armed Fulani terrorists.
We are calling on Mr. President to quickly into action to save the life of these innocent people who are dying for what they did not believe and what they did not hope for. And today, history has been made that the joint force of the youth, who are the future of the generation, have gathered in Jos today to give the sense to the belonging of our late people who died to pay the supreme price. Enough is enough.
To me, the way forward is to have a trauma healing, session and then dialogue. So mothers are really in pain. Mothers can't speak out. And I want to plead with His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, to please hearken to mothers, hearken to women and the nation that is affected.
In response to the rising wave of insecurity across the country, the Northern Senators Forum is calling on the federal government to urgently equip the military and other security agencies with modern weapons and resources needed to combat terrorism and insurgency effectively. In a statement released on Wednesday and signed by the forum's chairman, Senator Abdulaziz Yeradua, the lawmakers strongly condemned the recent deadly attacks in Benue State, where over 100 people were reportedly killed by suspected herdsmen. The forum expressed deep sorrow over the tragic loss of lives and extended condolences to the families of the victims. They also wished those injured in the attacks a full and speedy recovery. The Northern Senators emphasized the importance of vigilance, urging Nigerians to remain alert and report any suspicious activities to security agencies, noting that national security is a shared responsibility. They reiterated their commitment to supporting policies that will strengthen the nation's defense capabilities and ensure lasting peace across the country. Now, joining me to speak more on the worsening insecurity in the country is a security and cyber expert, Augustine Egar. Thank you so much, Augustine, for joining us at this time.
Good afternoon. My pleasure.
It's a pleasure. Now, Augustine, can you speak to us on what you think is driving the rise in attacks and violence across Nigeria, especially in the north central or northern region?
I think from the analysis you carried out, there's a statement by one of the youth leader that read that lands which were taken and given to the Fulanese headsmen should be returned to the rightful owners. That one too is an issue that we are not aware of except themselves that are in that community. But on the global scope, I think we have a lot of issues from the Sahel region. We knew that it's going to come like this because nations where they have military rule, they don't tolerate all kind of terrorism is not tolerated, arms carrying is prohibited, and they deal with it decisively. And so I am referencing the nation of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, which shares common boundary with us. These people, since they have a military rule, definitely they arm bandits or they arm people there will definitely look for a more comfortable place where they can have their peace and do their and coordinate their attacks. So I think Nigeria, we have a porous border. We've been saying this, and there is nothing to check them from that axis to Nigeria. So the inflow is very easy for them to come, and they use the jihadist system or the jihadist tactics to take over to invade certain places and see where they can have their comfort and establish their comfort in those areas. So they know the regions that are close, especially like while we have the Niger-Delta, especially Benue, you know that they have the river Benue in that axis. So that place is a very cool place for them to stay and then ferment their attacks. But basically, we can say that from the global scene, because of the military rule there have been a kind of a push of these people down to Nigeria, where we don't have very solid defense within those borders. Fully that these people are Nigerians. I don't want to believe they are fully Nigerians. It's like fight and take over the land. Wherever you can, it's your place, take it. That is the style I see.
All right, Augustine, but what would you say about the current strategies and resources, that are in place? Would you say they're adequate to curb or to effectively curb, these attacks?
I will still quote a military chief who said on this Benue attack, he said that the matter is beyond the military. So if the military is saying that this matter is beyond them, that means another measure need to be taken. That means they are calling on Mr. President to look inward. The first thing to do is to carry out a thorough risk assessment of this environment. What is really happening in that community? Because we wait until things happen and people die before we start taking action. Ordinary, from my own observation from time, we don't have a proactive security system. What we have is reactive. And I will also push my blame, apart from the federal government, to the state governors. Benue have been on very serious attack. What platform do they have? What infrastructure have they built over time from the past administration to the one they have today? That is what I'm asking. Let's see a typical case we have in Lagos and Oyo State. I use this as references. They have a Motokun, they have in Lagos, they have a private system that is working. You don't depend on government. What are these governors doing with the state allocation for security and at least raising up their own small system and see that they can police the environment and their communities? We don't see this happening in other states. And the other step to manage risks, it is not applicable in this state. One, you either accept a risk completely or you avoid it or you mitigate it. Acceptance of the risk. So let it happen. So I don't see this happening in this state, and it's troubling.
Okay. Now, Augustine, the northern senators are also calling for improved weaponry, for the military, to help them when it comes to insurgency, even though you did say that it is beyond them, according to the Chief of Army Staff. But then, in your view, what specific equipment, or capabilities are most urgently needed on the front lines?
That is a layman's thinking in terms of security. That's what those senators and other senators are saying. You don't win the war of terror by buying sophisticated equipment, though they need it. But a lot, like the last point I referenced, is that from the state level and from the community, what do they have in place that can monitor and gather intelligence? Military, the police, and all of these, they are a reactive force. Military are a reactive force, though I know they have the intelligence unit. Even the forest, they farm in those forests. The military can never know. You are posting someone from, let's say, is a Yoruba man from the west. You post him to the north. How will he have full knowledge of your community and even the villages, the bushes that you farm, your farmlands? So it is the community themselves that understand all those areas. Historically, they know where it's vulnerable. So the communities should be involved in asking the government to build. Yes, the military will have their own sophisticated equipment, especially application of technology. Is very important because asymmetric warfare is very difficult to track. So they need all sort of technology to assist the military, apart from the heavy equipment. So that is one part that they need. I know that the military, they are up with their games. They know the latest technology in this kind of warfare. The military already know. So what I will say is that they need to up their game in intelligence gathering, and that is involving community policing. It is very essential.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Augustine, for your time and for speaking on this. Away from that, and amid growing concern over the spate of missing children in Delta State, the Nigerian police have arrested a suspected child trafficker in Agbo. News Central's Austin Azu has the details.
Residents of the Agbaro community in Delta State recently raised the alarm over a disturbing trend. Children between the ages of 2 and 10 vanishing without a trace. The disappearances have sparked fear and outrage, prompting women in the community to stage a peaceful protest to raise awareness and demand urgent action.
This thing too much. Our children begin to lose, even though say na goat or fowl, the owner go find her. If you not see her, you go begin the panic, the waka all about, they swear. Talk less of say human being. So now we begin cry that day.
In response, the chairman of Ugele North Local Government Area, Jaro Egbo, convened a Security Council meeting and set up a 5-man panel to investigate the rising cases of missing minors.
This is called as a further deliberation on our missing children, taking of our children in Agbaro.
Speaking on the alarming rate of child trafficking in parts of the state, the Delta State Police Command made a revelation about the Agbaro missing children.
You all are aware of the viral video and complaints that went online in Agbaro, where it was alleged that 26 children were missing, even though the number was over-escalated, and we later discovered that it's 3 children. It aroused the attention of the command to go further, because definitely there will be persons who are interested in these babies.
However, the police said one of those involved in child trafficking in Delta has been arrested, but may not be connected to the Agbaro missing children's case.
On the 16th of June 2025, operative of the CP Special Assignment Team, acting on intelligence, stormed Ika South local government area of Agbo, where what they did this time is proper intelligence-led investigation. They got the information that this particular orphanage home, Divine Welfare Orphanage Home located in Agbo, were into the business of buying and selling children in the guise of running an orphanage home.
During interrogation, the suspect reportedly narrated her involvement in a serious crime that poses a significant threat to the safety and well-being of children.
The first one that I give is 5 years ago. The other one is 2 years ago.
How many children have you given out in all?
Two newborn babies.
While the arrest may offer a measure of relief to grieving families and anxious communities, police insist their investigation is far from over. Efforts are ongoing to dismantle the wider trafficking network and bring all accomplices to justice. In Delta for News Central, Augustine Egar.
Well, News Central's Augustine Egar joins me now to speak more on this development. Thank you for joining, Augustine. Can you tell us the current status of the investigation into the missing children in Agbaro?
Good afternoon. Of course, the panel of inquiries set up by the local government chairman, we are given a 2 weeks duration for them to turn in their reports. And as we speak right now, the clock is ticking and expectations are quite high for the panel to turn in their reports. However, from what we gathered so far, it seems there's a little bit compliance with what the chairman of the local government and the security agencies gave to the victims' parents for them to submit their photographs, their names, and whatever connected to the missing children. From our reliable information, we gather that they have started, complying to that. But surprisingly is what the police spokesperson revealed about the numbers of those missing. He confirmed that so far 3 has been established, and it means that investigation is still ongoing. And from equally what we gathered so far, there is a high-powered DPO in the state known for thorough investigation. We gather that the DPO has been contracted to swing into action in Agbaro, precisely in Ugele Police Division, to investigate the ongoing issues surrounding the disappearances of these children. But however, it means that all fingers are going to be crossed, and the intelligence must be ongoing to ensure that they're able to, get the root causes and reunite these children with their parents. So, from a reliable source, investigation is still ongoing, and there's quite, expectations that at the end of the day, definitely there's going to have a sigh of relief concerning their missing children in Agbaro.
All right, Augustine, speaking of expectations, have there been any measures taken to ensure the safety and security of children in the community?
Yes, talking about measures, of course, the council chairman at the end of the security meeting actually suspended the activities of those scavengers, popularly referred to as IO condemned. So vis-a-vis the fact of what individuals have actually said about the circumstances that led to the disappearances of these children. So it means that is one of the proactive ways that the local government chairman has adopted to ensure they are able to nip these issues in the bud. Outside that as well, we equally hear that security intelligence is ongoing to ensure that they are able to get the root causes and to ensure they are able to get those involved in these heinous crimes against the people of Agbaro, to arrest them and let them face the full wrath of the law. And alongside with that, we equally gather that the locals are not sleeping. The local security agencies, which happens to be the vigilantes, the hunters, and including the citizens of Agbaro, they are working around the clock to ensure they are able to provide intelligence to the security agencies to enable them get those dead devils who have committed these heinous crimes against people of Agbaro to justice. So obviously there's proactive measures being taken place, and from what the local government chairman said, that the state government is fully interested in this issue to ensure that they're able to get to the root of this cause and provide the necessary things needed for the security agencies for them to work effectively to enable them get the culprits of those who have come to Agbaro to steal away these children. Of course, we had a couple of others who have been fingered, but that is left for security agencies to do their job thoroughly to ensure they're able to bring justice to the people, particularly to the victims' parents in Agbaro.
Can't speak of those who have been fingered, that you say, those daredevils or even the culprits that you speak about. You can't, say anything about them, can you?
Please, I didn't hear you. Please repeat.
Talked about, some people being fingered for the kidnappings, and you talked about them being daredevils and also, culprits. You also said, you mentioned scavengers as well as being suspects. Can you speak on them? Are they the suspects? Are they the potential leads?
Okay, talking about the crime suspects in this whole scenario, all fingers in Agbaro, the residents actually fingered the scavengers responsible for what has happened in Agbaro regarding the disappearances of these children. We don't want to delve into the numbers because we have a conflicting numbers here. While the council chairman was saying 7, the police are saying 3 at the moment. But investigation is ongoing to get to the extent where they will come to they will strike a balance and give Nigerians the accurate numbers of those missing in Agbaro. Don't forget to that Agbaro is like a semi-rural area, not a rural area, it's a semi-urban area, though it does not have the looks of a real urban area. But you can see some rural setting among the residents of the community. So the community is prone to all kinds of activities. One can just walk into the community and go back, despite the fact that they have a police station, but that is not a guarantee that their security is guaranteed. That is not a guarantee that their welfare is guaranteed. But however, what the residents of Agbaro cried about is the incessant disappearance of their children, and most of them actually fingered these scavengers. We spoke to a couple of them, and during their discussions, they repeatedly said that people responsible for the trafficking of children in Agbaro, they are scavengers, and hence it gave credence to what the chairman actually did to place a ban on them. But it's left for the security agencies to come out thereafter, and after their thorough investigation, they should be able to get the culprits. Thereafter, their faces will be unmasked for Nigerians to know those behind the stealing of children in Agbaro. So quite unfortunate that we have some individuals at the moment being fingered, which happens to be the scavengers, but others are behind the scene that have not been actually been identified. Of course, we know what's happening in some of these orphanages, but we will not delve into that. We are still waiting for the security agencies to begin to move from one orphanage home to another, so that they'll be able to get those, begin to do a thorough search in most of those orphanages and get those people involved. If their children are there as well, they'll be able to identify them. But however, others equally accused ritualists. The chairman actually accused ritualists and suspected Yahoo boys who are involved in ritual killings. And of course, the police have actually said parents should be very careful about their children and watch over their children, because the cases in Agbaro are quite pathetic, whereby one of such is Mrs. Vero Lucky, who said that there was a fight that happened in their compound. After a while, about 1 hour
hear me, Austin. Sadly, we'd actually have to wrap up here, but thank you so much for that update. Now we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll tell you that FCT Minister Nyesom Wike threatens to name and shame defaulters in Mabushi, Katampe. We'll bring details of this and more after the break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Musa, has called for effective collaboration with the media to tackle the nation's insecurity challenges. Now, the defense chief made this call while meeting with media executives in Abuja to mark his 2nd anniversary in office and also present a scorecard of ongoing military efforts against insecurity in the last 24 months. He called for an urgent and comprehensive approach to tackling insecurity, saying that there is a need to win the hearts and minds of the citizens. Also, the Minister of Information and National Orientation and others present urged the media to effect a blackout on operations of terrorists and criminal elements in a bid to starve them of their much-needed publicity.
The security landscape of our dear country remains dynamic and complex. We are contending with an array of adaptive and unconventional threats from non-state actors, including terrorism, insurgency, banditry, secessionist violence, and other forms of organized crime. These multifaceted threats underscore the urgent need for a comprehensive, multidimensional, and multidisciplinary approach. In response, the armed forces have fully embraced the whole of society approach, a framework that emphasizes synergy among the military, government institutions, and the people as a unified trinity in the fight against insecurity. In this non-kinetic theater, the media is a powerful force. The battle for perception, which entails controlling the narrative and countering misinformation and disinformation, is essential to strategic success.
In the face of adversity, there are always opportunities. From challenges emerge innovation, resilience, and renewed purpose. But we must also be mindful of the threats that go beyond physical attacks. Misinformation, especially through unverified social media, can be just as dangerous. Whoever controls the media narrative controls the public sentiment. It is therefore my sincere appeal to the media: do not grant our adversary the advantage by prioritizing sensationalism over national security.
The media is expected to report not only what has gone wrong, but what is being done right. Highlight the sacrifices of our troops. Tell the story of progress. Balance criticism with context. That is the true calling of responsible journalism. I urge all stakeholders, particularly my friends in the media, to take note of the progress made and amplify it. It's not always a bad story. Let's amplify the progress that we have made.
A new project aimed at strengthening the administration of criminal justice through effective implementation of the administration of criminal law has been launched in Edo State. The project, supported by the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, focuses on the administration of criminal justice law, ACJL 2016, and the Anti-Torture Act of 2017. News Central's Israel Eferobo has more.
Towards addressing the gaps in the implementation of criminal justice laws in Edo State, a group known for promoting accessible rights unveils a one-year justice reform project.
The essence is to bring together key stakeholders within the criminal justice system to give them an idea of what we intend to do, and at the same time also get their commitment and buy-in and support towards this project, because we believe that the project will contribute towards promoting the effective implementation of the administration of criminal justice law.
The project includes the launch of the Edo Report app, radio jingles, public awareness campaign, and training for security agencies.
It is a multifaceted project with various activities. You have sensitization at the heart of it, both for the citizens and also the duty bearers, in this case the law enforcement agencies, not only the police now but also all other agencies that have a responsibility to implement this law.
When indigent citizens and people who are vulnerable, who are always who will of course come in contact with the law either by breach or they need the law to exercise their rights, bringing it out there publicly will help them to know that, okay, this is what the law says.
Civil society observatory groups who were also part of the two-day event bear their mind on the importance of strengthening the administration of criminal justice in the state.
For us as CSOs and to the members of the public. It's a work in progress, and we'll keep building on what we already have. This launch now will give us room to further innovate.
You marry increased public awareness from all sides, and then with capacity building and also exchange of experience sharing with the critical stakeholders, so that there's a standardized and uniform way of how this law can be practiced and implemented, we will see the desired results.
As stakeholders commit to collaboration and reform, the focus now shifts to sustained implementation and citizen engagement, with the hope that Edo State will witness a more accountable and right-respecting criminal justice system. In Edo State, for News Central, Israel Ifiro.
The National Security Advisor and governors from 36 Nigerian states have joined forces to tackle rising food inflation and improve food security. They agreed to work with the federal government to harmonize levies, remove illegal checkpoints, and ensure the free flow of goods across states. Now, despite a technical drop in national food inflation to 21.14% in May 2025, many states still face rising food prices due to insecurity, supply disruptions, and poor infrastructure. Governors highlighted the impact of illegal taxation and checkpoints on food costs. A high-level committee has been formed to address these issues and has submitted recommendations. The governors also expressed concern over delayed World Bank funding for economic recovery programs. Efforts continue to ease food costs and support Nigerian families. Away from that, the recent appointment into the board of Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, RSEC, by the Rivers State sole administrator has sparked mixed reactions from the political class and residents. While the commission's establishment is aimed at conducting free, fair and credible local government elections in the state, opinions are divided on the implications of the chairman's state of origin. News Central's Biola Festus has more in this report.
Upon his appointment as the administrator of Rivers State, Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas dissolved the Electoral Commission established by the suspended Governor Similala Yefubara and appointed a new board. About 2 months later, President Bola Tinubu forwarded names of the new appointees to the Senate for screening and confirmation, a move that generated diverse opinions among the people of Rivers State.
The National Assembly is trying to foist illegality on the people of Rivers State. So they shouldn't accept, that nomination. The whole thing is entirely, foundationally illegal. So the primary thing is that it is a governor that has the power to appoint. The executive in Rivers State has been captured illegally by the removal of the governor and the House of Assembly. The judiciary, we believe, has also been captured. INEC is also another body that has been captured. So it's not a democracy.
However, many Rivers people are uncomfortable with the appointment of a non-indigene, citing concerns about representation and potential bias.
The appointment of a non-Rivers man as a research chairman is an insult to Rivers State. It shows that Rivers State is finished. Rivers State does not exist again. Rivers State is gone. There are no men in Rivers State. Nobody is there again in Rivers State. It's a pity that Rivers State will come to that point. But God save us.
If the president or federal government could suspend the sitting governor, an elected governor, is it the RSEC chairman that's coming to conduct the election that will be the problem? No. And anyone that wants to participate, any party, is left for him or left for the party to do that.
The opportunity we give to Tinubu, he has misused the opportunity. We have so many people that would have handled that position. So, but I don't know why everything is happening like this, but all the same, we don't like it.
Meanwhile, some political actors see the potential benefits of an external body conducting the local government election, citing possibilities for neutrality and credibility in the electoral process.
What we want is the process of democracy
to continue to thrive, especially at the grassroots level. People are suffering at the local government level now because there's no proper representation at the local government level. So if they're bringing somebody who's not from River State to make sure that local governments get their proper representation in the scheme of things, it's a welcome development. We are in support of it. We just want things to move on in the state.
Our governor is not there now in the seat. So if other parties can come up, because why I say so is because of the sufferings is too much on people. If you look, they are not paying salaries, and so if other parties will come up so that the representative can take over so that they will start paying people salary.
In a swift reaction, others seem to have resigned to fate, feeling that the president's influence over the state's affairs is inevitable.
They plan to conduct local government election. Whether it is legal or illegal, they don't care. All they know is that they want to take charge of the structure. They want to be in charge of anything called structure in River State. The president and his team, they have planned to hijack River State. River State does not belong to River people anymore. River State belongs to the president, Akpabio, and Wike.
It remains to be seen how several political parties in River State would accept the composition of the board into the state's independent electoral commission, with the local council polls expected to be conducted in August this year. Time will tell. In River State, for News Central, Biola Festus.
Plastic pollution and poor sanitation are posing serious challenges to public health and the environment in Lagos. Now, the state government is stepping up action. The Lagos State Ministry of Environment and Water Resources is leading a city-wide cleanup while enforcing environmental laws. News Central Sewese Anyo has more.
Streets, gutters and markets in Lagos are frequently littered with plastic waste, from water sachets and food containers to discarded bottles. These plastics often block drainage systems, pollute waterways and contribute to recurring floods in the city. Authorities say the cleanup is ongoing in several areas across Lagos as part of a broader plan to improve environmental hygiene.
We also want to appeal to Lagosians and non-residents of Lagos that we have put in place our surveillance and enforcement operations, which are very active. Operatives from the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, CAI, Local Surveillance and the Task Force Surveillance Team are fully operational across the state.
As part of the effort, officials have arrested several people for open defecation, urinating in public places, and illegal dumping of waste, or in violation of state sanitation laws.
Offenders have been apprehended daily, and there is a new commitment to prosecute, name and shame those convicted. Lagosians must also know that there are stiff penalties for offenders now. Anyone caught dumping refuse illegally or littering the environment with refuse faces up to 250,000 naira fine or up to 3 months imprisonment under the Lagos State Sanitation Law.
Much of the plastic waste also ends up in canals and the Lagos Lagoon, threatening marine life and increasing the risk of microplastics entering the food chain.
What the plastic is doing to our body is very dangerous. And like I said, if we don't take urgent action towards it, it's going to keep eating deep into the system and people die gradually. Even the way we're having plastic pollution in our rivers, in our ocean, that is how we're having plastic in our body.
While the state has banned styrofoam and promotes recycling, poor enforcement and low awareness remain major setbacks. Officials are urging residents to dispose waste properly and comply with sanitation rules. In Lagos, for News Central, Sewese Anyo.
Coming up after the break, 34 soldiers killed in deadly raid near Mali border. We'll tell you more in a moment. Join us again. Away from Nigeria, a deadly attack has rocked Western Niger Republic, where armed fighters launched a large-scale assault on the town of Banibangu near the border with Mali. The incident occurred on Thursday. Now, the Nigerian Defense Ministry says the attackers, described as heavily armed mercenaries, stormed the town in 8 vehicles and over 200 motorbikes. In what officials called a cowardly and barbaric assault, 34 soldiers were killed and 14 others injured. The attackers reportedly overran the town's defenses before escaping the scene. Authorities have strongly condemned the violence and vowed to hunt down those responsible. The government says operations are underway to track the perpetrators while the nation mourns the fallen. Our thoughts remain with the families affected by this tragic loss. We move to Rwanda now, where a prominent opposition figure and outspoken critic of President Paul Kagame has been arrested, sparking renewed concerns about political repression in the country. The Rwanda Investigation Bureau confirmed on Friday that Victoire Ingabire was taken into custody following a court appearance in Kigali on Thursday. Authorities say Ingabire is being investigated in connection with an ongoing trial involving 9 individuals accused of plotting to overthrow the government through non-violent means. The RIB alleges that Ingabire is involved in creating a criminal organization and inciting the public against the country's leadership. According to the agency, her arrest is in line with a High Court decision tied to a case of Sibomana Sylvain and his associates who are currently on trial. While the Investigative Bureau did not provide details on when Ingabire might be formally charged, her arrest is already drawing attention due to her long-standing role as one of Rwanda's few vocal opposition leaders. In business, demonstrating their dedication to driving legislative and policy reforms that influence Nigeria's economic and business environment, the Nigerian Bar Association's section on business law and the Nigeria Economic Summits Group's Ernest Shonikon Center for Legislative Reform and Economic Development signed a memorandum of understanding on Thursday in Lagos. News Central business correspondent Chamunda Beng reports.
Formalizing the relationship that
the chairman of the Ernest Shonikon Center, Kari Bukar, during his speech, emphasized that the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Nigerian Bar Association section on business law goes beyond mere ceremony. It represents the formal launch of a strategic alliance anchored in a mutual commitment to enhancing Nigeria's legislative, judicial, and regulatory systems in support of its economic transformation.
The changes have actually even started to crystallize. We've affected some of the new reforms that have taken place, laws that have been already signed, including CAMA, which was the hairy one of them all, as well as IST, the laws affecting credit registry and credit reform. And all the laws that affect the business environment have actually been looked at, and the ones that require modernization and change have already been done.
Also speaking at the event, Chair of the NBA-SBL, Ozofu Ogemudia, noted that Nigeria's progress has long been hindered by persistent challenges in its legislative, regulatory, and judicial sectors. She emphasized, however, that the newly formed partnership marks a significant step forward in confronting and resolving these pressing concerns.
What we aim to do is formalize our collaboration and continue with a proper framework for how we move forward in working together to identify legislative gaps, support the National Assembly in terms of the quality of bills that come out of the National Assembly, with a particular focus on bills that will help the ease of doing business in Nigeria, to improving our attractiveness for investments.
NASBA was charged with the review of all the business
investor-friendly laws to identify those that are impeding investments in Nigeria and how to address them. So he produced a report led by the Professor Idonige panel, which we've been working on till today. So that report identified about 107 laws that are impeding the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Some of those laws have been amended, some have been overtaken by the Business Facilitation Act, particularly like the CAMA was amended, the Investment and Securities Act was amended, and a few others, which have now shaped the business environment in Nigeria and gives us confidence to the private sector investor.
The group stated that the journey towards formalizing the Memorandum of Understanding began nearly a decade ago when they jointly pursued legislative, regulatory and judicial reforms, built robust capacity building initiatives and upheld principles of transparency and accountability throughout the process. In Lagos for News Central, I am Chamun Dabeng.
Of sports, Super Falcons coach Justin Madugu has named the 24 women's squad for the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, led by Captain Rashidat Ajibade, goalkeeper Chiamaka Nadozie, and veteran forwards Asisa Toshola and Francisca Odega. Now, the list features a blend of seasoned internationals like Ashley Plumter, Michael Alozie, Osinachi Ohale, Jennifer Echegini, Christy Uchebe and Halimatu Ainde, alongside home-based talents such as Rachel Unachuku, Sikiratu Isa and Miracle Usani. Now, the team will round off preparations with a training camp in Lisbon, Portugal, before friendly matches against Portugal on June 23rd and Ghana June 29th. Nigeria, chasing a record 10th title, faces Tunisia, Algeria and Botswana in Group B in Casablanca. Well, that's all at this hour. But before we go, here's another look at some of our major stories. Southern Middle Belt leaders urges President Tinubu NAS to address security crisis immediately. We also told you that National Security Advisor, 36 states launch joint action to tackle food inflation. Finally, you heard that prominent Rwandan opposition leader Ingabire has been arrested over alleged coup plot. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.